Welcome to all. We are excited to have you. And this is, you've decided to start your journey with us at The Ohio State University. So we are going to go ahead and get started. There's a lot of information. Other than that, we will be able to go, through this information. And if there's any questions at all, we will be able to try to answer those the best that we can. But, feel free to reach out after this orientation too as well. We'll be talking about how to contact us, things like that. So again, this is Program 60 Summer Orientation. So we welcome you with open arms, excited that you have chosen us to be part of your higher education journey. My name is Lauren Phi, Phi Fo Fum, or as in pie, Lauren Phi. I like to distinguish that, something sweet in the morning. I am your academic program services analyst for outreach programs, but specifically Program 60 coordinator. So I will be your main point of contact. In regards to other people that are on this call, we will be introducing them shortly. However, I do want to introduce right now my colleague, Todd Thomas. He will be monitoring the chat. And we'll try, like I said, to answer questions if it's applicable to the section that we're in. But of course, I'm open to questions at the end, as well as if you want to, maybe you don't want to do it on the spot. Maybe you have a question that happens towards the end. Feel free to email me too as well. A little about myself. My background is long-term care, but I'm in higher education now, and it's awesome. I believe that older adults that are 60 and older truly should have the opportunity to pursue higher education, no matter their background. And it's awesome that you all have chosen to find meaning, whatever that is, in regards to maybe learning new skills, or maybe you just want to have a good time being back on campus. Whatever your reasons are, we welcome you with us at Program 60. So we do have a lot of different things we're going to be going over. And those of you that maybe this is your first time joining on one of our webinars, or maybe you joined us on our information session a few weeks ago, we are going to go over the history of Program 60 as well as eligibility, just in case you haven't completed steps to be registered as Program 60. That is a big thing as well. But it's also, understanding the implications and the history of Program 60 itself, because we've gone a long way and we're going to keep on growing. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. So Program 60 has been around since 1973. So way back when, the president at the time, he actually traveled out to Colorado. So he visited a university on vacation with his wife, and he noticed they had a program that, allowed older adults to take courses on their campus free, and he was ecstatic about it. So he decided, hey, this is a great program. We need to bring it to Ohio State. So he literally proposed it to the board, and that January quarter of that next year, they actually brought a program called Program 65. So it was actually for those that are 65 and older. A couple, years later, Ohio State legislation actually passed where they wanted any state-funded institution in the state of Ohio have a program, but they changed the requirement to 60 years and older instead of 65. So hence the name Program 60. It's open to anyone that's a current Ohio resident. It's tuition free, though there are some fees that are associated with classes, and we'll go over that a little bit more in detail later. And, there's some books that you have to pay as well. However, there's also a thing as well where it's instructor permission space available basis. And so from there, you have to, there's specific courses that might have specific requirements with it. And so we'll go over that too as well. A little bit more in detail. Program 60, you can, in theory, take any course on campus, undergraduate level or graduate level. Of course, there's a variety of different things where, scenarios based off of, and we'll, go a little bit more in detail with that too as well, that might deter you from taking certain courses, because of the caveat of seat availability, instructor permission basis. It could be, for instance, if you try to take a neuroscience course and you have no previous background in it, the university doesn't want you to, take those courses, if not necessarily that, but they don't want you to not be successful with it. And so sometimes instructors they might recommend you another course, but, it's more so just making sure you're successful in your higher education journey. It also is, you take these classes for audit. However, you are able to, you're not taking them for credit. So for instance, any course you take on campus, it's, auditing. The beautiful thing about Program 60 is you are able to, manage how engaged you want to be in the course. So for instance, if maybe you just want to sit on the lectures, you communicate that with the instructor and, chances are they're going to be okay with that. Or if they, suggest another course that might be better for you to do that, they can do that as well. Another great thing is, if you don't do homework assignments, that's awesome. I mean, some people, that's a lot of pressure. And so you can indicate, I don't plan on doing homework assignments or taking exams. Or on the flip side, if you really want to hone in on the skills and you truly want to have that higher education experience, you're more than welcome to do that. The nice thing is, it's not make or break if you don't pass. Like if you don't do well on an exam, you're taking it for audit. So that's kind of a nice thing about this too as well. And of course, this is based off instructor permission. And so that's a big thing too as well regarding some of the courses as well. So is there any questions? All right. So yes. So I have seen something in prerequisite section. That list, it is not open for people with past credit and similar courses. So basically, with Program 60, with you auditing, you come in where every single term, regardless if you've taken a course previously, it doesn't apply. You would still have to get instructor permission. However, as a Program 60 participant, they don't look at previous transcripts or anything like that. So in theory, you should be, you'll be able to, as long as you ask for instructor permission, which we'll go over that section later in this presentation, then in theory, as long as they approve you to take the course, our office will process that enrollment and you should be able to go through that. So as long as you get instructor permission, we'll be able to get you through that process. We will be going over the course from specific professors farther down. So I will, I'll touch base with that a little bit later. If the instructor isn't responsive, again, we'll go over that a little bit later. However, we kind of have to, be creative or look at other courses as well. Because I mean, unfortunately, with the, state of things too as well, we can't control if someone doesn't respond. And so that's just, because we're auditing courses, this is a benefit that we have for older adults that are 60 and older. That is something, that we can come across. So, all right. So from there, this is probably one of my favorite sections. So I'm excited to share you with a couple other our panelists. So they were actually on our information session a couple weeks ago, but luckily, for us, we were able to snag them for this. So I have my friends Maggie and Chris joining on this, and they are going to tell us a little bit about their experiences as Program 60 participants. They've been taking courses, so they know the ins and outs, and what better way to understand about the actual process than someone that's actually been through it. So I am going to have Maggie start sharing her experiences with us, and I will, turn it over to her. So let's see, Maggie, if you want to go ahead. And
okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I know the video is not working, but if the voice is enough, that's what we'll do. Okay, I am excited that I have been participating in Program 60 for the first time this spring semester, and I've been taking the intro course to Italian. And this has been kind of a lifelong dream for me to really study the language more thoroughly than, the kinds of things that I had done before, which were very small and taking a little bit of Italian for travelers and this and that. This has been so much more thorough, and it gave me sort of a better grounding in all the basics of grammar and how to conjugate a verb and how to sort of like make up conversation myself and feel relatively comfortable that I can say some simple things. I've been wanting to do this for 50 years, since my grandmother took me to Italy right out of high school. And we spent a nice long time there. And I came away from it feeling like, when I went back to Italy, whenever that might be, and it's going to be this year, it would really be worth the time and effort to learn how to speak more, because Italian people are so welcoming and open to people trying that. And it would just really add to the experience. So that's what I've been doing. I'm just about finished with the class. I have one more quiz and a final to take. And I guess tips for those who are just starting into this might be helpful. I would say if you're doing something like I've been doing, which is an online course, make sure you ask lots of questions, because the whole idea of learning online is a little different than being there in person in the class. The younger students are very, we all know, just ask a young person how to fix something technology-wise, or have them figure out how something works, and they know it almost intuitively. But those of us who are a little bit older might need some hand-holding. And I think too, the platform that they're using has some wonderful benefits. And I think if I had to do it all over again, I'd ask more questions initially. There's a fair amount of homework assignment. A lot of the class is self-taught. And there are ways to maximize your learning if you understand better how the homework mechanism works and how you can check for right answers and what you can do, what you can't do. The other tip I might have is to maybe try to get over the whole thing that we probably all carried with us from college, which is, I got to get a good grade. I got to get a good grade. I have to do this perfectly, because I've been kind of having to deal with that myself. And remember, I'm auditing this. Probably nobody's looking at the grade but me. If I don't get everything right, it's not the end of the world. But I'm so excited about this, and I want to make the most of it. So I keep pressuring myself to study a lot. So anyway, just think about that. Know that you're the one who's going to see the grade, and I'm sure that your instructor will sense your excitement and let you into future classes if you should so ask to do so. I'm just very thankful at Ohio State that they have this program, and hope they'll continue it for many more years, because it's been great. Thank you.
Maggie, thank you so much for sharing that. It really gets me excited to hear, positive experiences Program 60 participants have, and I'm glad this has been a part of your life. So we're excited to have you continue along with us.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right. So next we have my friend Chris, another Program 60 participant, and another great person to have share their experiences with us.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Chris.
Okay. I have a cold, so I might, cough or, a little bit in between and take some water while I'm talking. So please excuse me for that. Okay. I joined the 60 program when I was 60 years old. So I've been in this program for 9 years. The reason I joined was basically by my medical doctor, since I started to have osteoporosis, and I lost 14% of my bone density in 2 years. And she said, that's too much for a young person like you. So you need to learn how to maintain your core, strengthen your core, and balance so you don't fall and have surgeries in future. That's how I started. So she suggested ballet, not me. I have no dancing background before that, not even one dance. One dance class. So I started in ballet 1 to learn balance and core, just as my medical doctor suggested. And it was not easy for a 60-year-old woman to start dancing at age 60 to begin with, which is very difficult for me. And I was going to quit after the second semester. Then a friend of mine who had cancer was fighting for survival in cancer. So I said, no matter what happens, I'm not going to quit. She's fighting for this disease. And I'm going to, whatever happens in the end for her, I am going to keep doing it, at present or in her memory in future. I'm not going to quit. If she's not going to quit, I'm not going to quit. So I kept on doing ballet. And when I started doing ballet, we have some homework and I have some difficulty understanding, but the instructors are all very nice. They explain, and plus I have a hearing loss issue, so I can't hear when there's music and instructions. When they shout out the sequences, I cannot hear. And they all put microphones on themselves so they can talk about the music so I can hear. I think I'm the only almost deaf student in the class in ballet. So right now I can do sort of somewhat of a split, a lot of the pliés, and I'm into ballet too. And I will keep on going. And I thought, oh, you're repeating a class. They're teaching the same thing. Every class is different. Not one class is the same because the teacher's emphases and deliverings and what you want to learn are all totally different. So every class, I'm learning something new. Nothing, there's some basic, yes, I've repeated that, but then there are new ways of learning how to make it better, to improve myself. Yes, there's homework. And the teacher said, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. And I like to do it to broaden my horizon, to increase my knowledge for myself. Not, when I was young, you went to college, you studied for your grade, but now I'm doing it for myself because of the enjoyment, the pure enjoyment of it. And I love every class, and I'm continuing. I started doing contemporary. I did hip hop 1 year, and I did Irish steps dance. I mean, that was tough for me on my knees, that I had to go to physical therapies afterwards. But I shall continue to dance till my medical doctor says, don't do it. So I really enjoyed it. So.
Chris, thank you so much for sharing your experiences too as well. I think it's incredible that even though you've had all this adversity, you're continuing to do what you love. And I think it's awesome that you learn something new every single time, even if you're, taking the same courses. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
You're welcome.
All right. So if that doesn't get you excited in the morning, I don't know what will, but we are going to get into the thick of it. So feel free to, ask any questions. Like I said previously, I will try to touch base on those throughout each section if it's applicable, but obviously I'll circle back at the end if I've missed any questions or if there's any other pressing questions, things like that. So we are going to go into the steps of how to go through the process of being Program 60 participant. So we are going to be referencing the website a lot. I feel that is a really great resource, especially since it lays out everything. So feel free, if you want to plug in the website too as well, perb60.osu.edu, you can follow along too as well if you feel like it. So we are going to just touch base on this. So for those that are joining in, if you have not registered as a Program 60 participant, please, you'll need to do this before even going through all the other steps. Otherwise, you won't be able to enroll and things like that. So we do have the registration open until May 6th. So it's a really quick, easy way to go through the registration. It goes step by step on how to complete it. Basically, it's a one-time registration. So you'll fill out the information. And basically from there, once everything is processed, you'll receive a confirmation email with your last name, number, and then you'll be able to complete all the other steps. However, like I said, if you haven't completed that registration step, I recommend you doing that as soon as you can. So that way you can go along with all the other things too as well. Otherwise, you won't be able to enroll in courses until the next term once registration for autumn term opens up. But like I stated, as long as as long as you registered once, you're in the system, so you won't have to ever register again. So that's kind of a nice thing about the program. All right. So with the, assumption that everyone's registered, we're going to touch base on this just in case, some of you have had difficulties, or maybe you just recently became a Program 60 registered participant. Welcome again. But basically, we'll go over how to activate your account, and as well as setting up, Buckeye Pass, which is also Mobile Duo. And so we're going to follow along on our website just so you can see where it's at and get used to the website. So we'll go ahead. You can type in program60.osu.edu. And before we go into that, I'm just going to tell you all the information about, the registrations, things like that, are down here in the announcement section. So you can see right now we're in the online orientation, but that has the dates in regards to specific webinars. There's also a section that's over the student conduct. So if you want to read over that, feel free to do so. And then there's also dates right here that outline the different sections of, courses, things like that, different due dates. So please always reference this too as well. But the section we're going to take care of today is it's all going to be under the participate tab. So you're always going to go up here on this, top line, and you're going to go to participate. Like I said, the registration is step 1. So if you haven't completed that, go ahead and click that button, and it'll take you to a red button. You'll click that, and it'll take care of the registration. You'll fill that out. For this section, the activate your Ohio State username and Buckeye Pass, we're going to go ahead and click step 2, just so you can reference that. So this kind of has written out directions on how to do so, but we are going to go ahead and jump on these websites just so you know how to. So this is with the caveat of if you received your email confirming that you are indeed in Program 60, have your last name number available, as well as your student employee, your student ID number. So we are going to click this link, so my.osu.edu, to go to the activate your username page. So you'll need to do this step before you even go to the next step of uploading Buckeye Pass. So we'll click that, and you'll notice it takes us to this page. Okay. So from there, you're always going to go to a big red button. And so for here, you're going to click activate now. So you're going to click that button. And then from there, it's going to have you prompt this. You'll say, I need an activation code. You'll type in your last name number that was assigned to you, your first name, your last name, and your date of birth. From there, unfortunately, since I'm already in the system, I can't show you, from my standpoint of the next part of activation, but it'll prompt you, and then it'll be able to activate it. Now, a couple things in regards to troubleshooting. So for instance, this is just based off of my experience. So if you've when you first registered and maybe you accidentally typed in the wrong birth date, or maybe your last name's wrong, whatever that might be, that might cause some issues. So you might have to reach out, depending on that, to IT help desk to either reset something, or reach out to me if we need to, update it in the system. So that's just one thing. But once you've kind of gone through this and then activate your account, you'll be good to go. All right. So we'll go back to the website. So the second thing we're going to go over is Buckeye Pass. It's also Mobile Duo, so you'll tend to see, those names interchangeable. This is the security system that will be used anytime you log into any Ohio State device or any platform. It will prompt you to do that every single time, and it's just an extra security measure. So you'll need to have a smart device as well as your laptop or whatever PC you are utilizing. Smart device could be an iPhone, Android phone. It could be, a tablet. If you do not have any of those, reach out to me. There's another way for, specific, landline, the flip phones, things like that. But usually, the assumption is if you have a smartphone device, you can do this, but reach out to me if you have any questions or if you don't have any of those materials. So we are going to go over how to set up Buckeye Pass real quick. So we're going to go to here. So like I said, this is still under step 2. So it's under participate, and you'll click the buckeyepass.osu.edu link right here. From there, it's going to take you to this page. So again, all about the red buttons here. So you're going to click the big red button on the right-hand side. and it's going to go ahead and have me log into my account and stuff. However, since I already have a system in place, I won't be able to show you specifically from my end, but I will be able to pull up a screenshot on how to set it up on your end. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up. All right, so once you pull this up, so you click this link right here on how to register your account, and it'll pop up with this page. So basically, you're going to go through this on your PC, and you'll click. It'll prompt you to say start setup, and then you'll identify if you're using a mobile phone, so a smartphone, or if you're using a tablet. So you'll type in, it'll prompt you to type in whatever phone number you're using. And note, you want to use the phone or tablet that you'll have to have it with you at all times, especially if you're utilizing the services on campus. So you'll need to make sure you utilize whatever one you have. You'll have to carry it with you. Otherwise, you won't be able to log in if you don't have those accessible to you. So you'll be able to it'll prompt you through this. So you'll click continue. It'll also have you identify what type of device you're using. So if it's the phone, it'll have you click iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, Windows Phone, or other. And then from there, it will prompt you on how to install the Mobile Duo app on your phone. So you'll go to either Apple Play or the Google downloads app, and then you'll be able to type it in, and from there you'll be able to get it all set up on both of your devices. Now for other things, tablet, it will prompt you. You can do you can set up different things on your account. So like if you want both, if you want to have your phone and your tablet, you can do that too as well. So it'll prompt you on how to do this. But basically, you'll just kind of scroll through, click what kind of device you have, and then it will, you'll be able to download it and have it all set up. Now, I'm going to attempt to demo this just so you can see what I mean by like what it looks like as the secondary security. So what will happen is every time you log in, it's going to pop up on your phone to check yes. It's a big green button that pops up. You'll check yes, and then it will automatically log you in. From my standpoint today, I'll only be able to show you what pops up on my screen every single time. So that way, if you've set it up correctly, you're able to do it. So give me 1 second. All right. I'm going to do this. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to type it in. So whenever you log in, so I just logged into Buckeye Link. Again, we're going to go over this a little bit later, but anytime you log into any Ohio State device, it's going to pop up this screen. From there, it's going to prompt you to send you a push, which that's what I mean when it'll pop up on your phone as a big green button. You'll click yes whenever that happens on your phone. So I'll just do it so it pops up. It'll say push to login request to your device. It's going to automatically pull up on your phone as verify you logging into Ohio State web login service. Once you click that, it'll pop up with the green button. You'll click approve, and then it'll process you into whatever you're going into. So that's kind of, a nice, quick, easy way to go over it. The screenshots really do help. But if you do have difficulties setting it up, feel free to reach out to me. And if there's other difficulties with the technology piece, we can also get you in contact with IT Help Desk. All right. So we're going to go ahead and go back to our PowerPoint. So we've completed Buckeye Pass Mobile Duo. Again, if there's any questions, feel free to reach out to me after this too as well. The second thing is we're going to step 3. So this is setting up your Buckeye Mail. So some of you have already set that up. I've communicated with some of you about this. That's awesome. However, for those that haven't set this up yet, that's all good. I'm going to go ahead and just show you how to do that real quick. So you are going to log into Outlook, and then from there, it's going to, prompt you on how to sign in. And so I'm going to show you how to do that from our Program 60 website, just so that way it's laid out really nicely for you. So we're going to go back to the Program 60 website. And then the nice thing about the Participate tab is it outlines it. So step 3 is check your Buckeye Mail and Office 365. So you're actually just going to click that, and then it's going to show you where to click the links on how to set up things like that. So it's going to pop up. You'll click this link right here. And it's going to pop up with my information. So basically from there, it's going to prompt you on how to, log in regards to your your last name .number, and then at OSU, buckeyemail.osu.edu. From there, then you'll, since you've activated your account, it should prompt you to create a password. You'll type in that password, and from there, that should pop you up with your email. I am going to go ahead and also show you how to just get Microsoft Office 365. So you'll click this link right here. And then from there, you can click right here. And then from there, it's going to have you click log into Microsoft 365. Again, that is, you can use your last name .number and then your password, and that should log you in too as well. I'm just going to show you just what it looks like real quick so you can see it. So this is kind of like the cloud-based software where you can access your Word, your Excel, your PowerPoint, and you can even access your email through here too as well. There's a lot of different resources. If you haven't used this kind of software before, we can get you in contact with that so that way you can get used to it. But basically, we do recommend you checking your email frequently, especially when you get enrolled in your courses, just because that's the email that the Ohio State email that instructors will communicate with you through. Otherwise, there is a way to sync both. However, we highly recommend you not doing that, just because sometimes emails will get misplaced and you will miss out on some of the communications. University will continue to send you emails through your Buckeye email. So when in doubt, check your email at least once a week before the term, and then during the term, I would check it at least couple times a week, if not daily, just because it's a really, that's the way you can communicate with your instructors, communicate with different services that are on campus, things like that. So here's a question. So if I use my name.number at osu.edu, will a Buckeye sync automatically with the other? Yeah. So it will be the same if you already received your registration with the name.number. It should be the same if you were, whether you're an employee or a previous student, whatever that might be, it should be all the same. So as long as you log in, it'll come up with, the same information. It'll pull any emails your way. All right, so I like to point everyone's direction to this. So academic calendar is very important, especially to making deadlines. As some of you probably seen some of the email communications through the Buckeye emails, if you've already checked in with that, there is some deadlines in regards to registering to be Program 60 participant, which I've already indicated ends May 6th for summer term, but also deadlines for enrollment. So the last day to enroll in summer term classes is May 20th. It's one of those things where after that, it's a little dicey in regards to specific things. There's different types of courses, as you might see on here already. There's 4-week classes, 8-week classes, 6-week classes, and it's a lot of different information, as well as full term classes. So there's a lot of different dates, but the 20th is, a really hard date just because, there's so many different fees that could be associated. And, because we're taking classes for audit, that's kind of the date that we have from, the university and registrar. A couple things to be mindful of too as well is the first day of term classes is definitely it's on May 10th. However, that's like for the first the full term, as well as the first 4-week and 6-week and 8-week courses. And so we'll kind of go over that when we're looking at class search, just because if some of you have already been brainstorming on classes specifically, you'll notice that some of them have like different lengths in time and not necessarily a whole semester course. And that's something to be mindful of too as well, especially if you want to take multiple classes. It might be where you might take 2 classes that aren't like overlapping or different things like that. So really important for this. Another date that's really important too is opting out of Carmen books. We are going to touch base on that. Basically, if you don't opt out, if you don't want to pay for books specifically through the university for online electronic books, there is a way to opt out of a book. But then if you don't do it by that date, you're still going to be charged regardless if you plan on using the book or not. So that's kind of something if you're being mindful about different fees that are associated with classes, things like that. So just heads up with that. And of course, like I stated, I plan on, I communicate through Buckeye Mail. So check that frequently just because I do send reminder emails and different things to look out for. All right, so searching for courses. So this is kind of, I think this is exciting just because, this is the part where if you've completed all the other steps, you're able to jump in and be able to fully get immersed with, the exciting part of searching and enrolling in courses. So there's 2 different ways to look at courses. I'm going to show you both different ways. One way I do recommend only using for brainstorming purposes, just because it sometimes doesn't have the most up-to-date information, or, just in general, like it's a little bit intuitive especially if you don't have any sort of idea of what type of course you want to take. And so I'm going to show you that way first before going into the other way. There's also course offerings bulletin, which I recommend for those that maybe kind of get overwhelmed and like to have something that's a little bit hard copy. It lists all the courses that are going to be offered through the academic year. So it still has courses that are for summer terms. So feel free to utilize that. I'll show you guys how to get to that page as well. I know I've communicated with some of you already through email and I've sent you that bulletin. So it's a really great resource, but I'll show you guys how to get to that too as well. So we're going to go to our website just so we have that. And it's, again, really easy to navigate the website. So you're always going to go to Participate tab. And then we are going to actually go to Step 4. So this is Search for Courses. So you're going to click Step 4. From there, we are going to go to classes.osu.edu. So this is the one I was talking about that's intuitive, and I would only use really for brainstorming purposes. Really nice laid out. So I'm going to go ahead and click this link right here. And it's going to pop up with this main screen. So before you even start like typing anything, I do want to mention that it's really important to make sure you check on the right-hand side right up here. Now, this helps you with filtering and specifically looking at courses at specific, at specific regional campuses, as well as making sure you're looking at courses for the correct term. So I always recommend checking over here. So since it is summer 22 term, I'm going to go ahead and keep that. And just because I am, stationed in Columbus, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Columbus campus. But if you do click that, you can kind of look at every single campus, or if you're just like, hey, I want to look at every single possible course that's offered at any of these campuses at the same time, feel free to do that. Though it does get overwhelming if you have one course that has many sections. I do recommend looking at each regional campus separately. So we're gonna go ahead and just do Columbus. Just because I would like to be prepared. I did have a couple courses we're gonna go ahead and search just because, it's nice to have that. And also, it's really fun to look at courses. So I know I've had some people that are interested in art classes. So I figured let's look at some art classes. So I'm just going to type in first, just because, going into this, I don't necessarily know what kind of art I want to go into. So for this, the nice thing about the search engine is it can be intuitive. So it could be like, maybe you're looking for a drawing class, or maybe a ceramics class, or maybe you just want to type in art and just see whatever happens. So for this, I'm just going to show you guys, if I type in art, you just click enter once you search it, and it's going to pop up with many different sections that either have the term art in it. It could be, a art class, or it could be a course that kind of maybe explores art, or maybe it's in the description as, using the word art in that description. So that's why this is important to use as a brainstorming thing, just because there's some courses that might not necessarily underline specific things you're looking for. But it's really nice, especially if you're, looking through and really wanting to, you have no idea regarding anything that you're looking at for courses. It's really great to see what's out there. Now, let's say, I decide, just thinking about, let's say I'm really looking for a drawing course. Okay, so I'm actually just going to type in drawing just to see what pops up. So I'm going to scroll up at the top. And lo and behold, there's a Art to 100 course that's available. So what I recommend doing is writing down this information, like any information that's associated with the course, so that way we can input it at another time in the other classes search that we're going to show you how to use too as well. And so I'm going to go ahead, you'll type out the name of the course, so the Art to 100. I always recommend writing out the section number, which is usually this number that is in parentheses, just because that will identify the very specific course you're looking at, especially if there's different sections. So that's always important to write down. This one in particular doesn't have any instructors listed yet. So, that we'll kind of go over that a little bit further down the line, but just make sure you write that down, and you can write down any other identifying information you need. So like times, so that way, if you're looking at courses, you don't want it to overlap. That's something to be mindful of too as well. So I'm just going to go ahead, I'll write that down. And then that's kind of how you use, this web search. Another great thing about this too is once you search, it pops up with more filters. So like if there's specific classes, so like if you're looking at graduate level courses versus undergraduate, you can click that. There's also different sections on the side for like different academic programs. So maybe you're looking specifically at business classes. Maybe you want to only filter through business classes. Maybe that helps you kind of make sure you don't have as many things that pop back at you. And because that sometimes is overwhelming, is if you type in something, you come up with like 100 different potential classes, this might help it kind of hone in a little bit. And then, there's different types of, components. So like if it's a workshop, lab, lecture, you could do that. But usually that's not, I usually tell people you really don't have to unless you're looking at a very specific type of course. All right. So we're going to go back. So that's, like I said, classes.osu.edu I use for brainstorming. So you type in that information, you write it out, and use that. Now, going to the second way to look for classes, which is usually, most accurate way to look at classes, is the Buckeye Link way. So we're going to go to Buckeye Link, and then we're going to click into their SIS class search. I'm going to show you how to get to that. And then I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how to search for specific courses, including the course that I actually just uploaded. So again, this is under step 4, under the participant tab on the website. You're going to go to this link right here. So we're going to click that. And so Buckeye Link, for those that do not know, is your one-stop shop on how to access your account, as well as, looking at different resources, how to pay your, fees, different things like that. So it's really nice way to get what you need. We are going to navigate through this a lot during today. So feel free, if you have any, questions regarding this, feel free to drop a line on that too as well. Also, regarding, looking for classes. So there's different ways you can look at it. If you don't see it, like when you first pop up, you can always type in class search at the top search up here. And that will usually pop up with the class search tab as well. There's also a different way to look it up too as well. So I'm just going to go back just to show you guys how to get to it. There's another way to do it. So instead of typing class search up here, you can actually go down here to enrollment and registration. So you can click that. And the class search would be underneath that. The way of doing that, it will actually filter specific apps that are near relative to the whole process of enrollment and registration. So that's kind of nice. So if you are looking for something else or whatever that might be, that's a quick way. But it really doesn't matter how you find it. But sometimes it's easier just to type it in, so it's not like you're trying to look for it. Like that, for instance. So we're actually just going to go to class search over here. So class search SIS. So we're going to click that. And it's going to pop up with this screen. So a couple of things to note. It's very extremely important to make sure you select the correct term. Otherwise, you're going to be looking at different terms, and those classes you're not going to be able to enroll at that time, just because Program 60 has only specific enrollment terms for us. So currently for summer term, it's from, starting, the 19th was when it's, enrollment starts, the 19th, and it goes until the 20th. And so from there, that's kind of our enrollment window for summer term. So you're going to make sure you click summer term. And then you're always going to go to here, the campus, and select whatever campus you're looking for. Just because, like I stated, I'm in Columbus, I'm going to click the Columbus tab. And I'm also going to show you guys how to find the course that I pulled up from classes.osu.edu too as well at this point. A couple of things to note too as well before I go into that. Nice thing about the subjects thing. So you're always going to click the subjects. So it's always important to write down whatever class you're looking for, and specifically like what department it's under. And so you can actually go through here and scroll. I also sometimes use this for brainstorming too. So like, for instance, if I am looking at German courses, I can leave the number blank, and once I click search, it'll pop up with every single German class that's out there. And so you can look through that, see what looks interesting. Again, it can be kind of overwhelming to do that. So like I said, using, both of those search sites are really, is great, but one way over the other, this one is a little bit more accurate, but classes.osu.edu is really nice for brainstorming. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you a couple other things. It's really important too, is if you're looking specifically for, maybe you're looking at 100% online courses, or maybe you're looking at 100% in person, I'm going to show you how to filter that too as well. So we're going to go to the additional search criteria. We're going to click that. And don't feel overwhelmed. You don't have to type in every single section here, just because sometimes that will actually filter out specific classes. And so you might not even see those classes if you get really too specific. So I usually kind of try to, avoid this section right here, unless you know a very specific course that is only offered on specific times. Like if you have that information written down, then, you can do that. But I kind of just leave that out just so that way it doesn't filter it too much. I know there's a question in regards to specific instructors. So this is down here under this additional search criteria, is where if you have a very specific instructor you want to take, you can type in their name here. Now it's always going to search by their last name. Nice thing about this too is if you don't necessarily know the full spelling of their name, you can do, you can click different filters. So it begins with like, the first couple letters you might know how to spell their name. You can do that right here. Or if you know word for word verbatim how to spell their last name, you can do that too as well. And that way, it'll only pop up classes with that specific, person's last name. Now, if it's like a generic name, it'll pop up with other ones, but as long as you also fill up this section up here with the correct information, it should pop up. So that's, that was specifically for that. Another great thing I want to point out to you guys too as well is sessions. I kind of mentioned this through the academic calendar and periodically throughout this presentation, but summer term has a lot of different sections, and that's just because they offer different accelerated courses over the summer as well as full term. So it is also important to note that. So for instance, 4-week classes, it's a lot of information all at once. So it's a little bit more involved, but it's definitely important also to look at the different sessions too as well. So 4-week session 1, the start date is the first day of courses. So it's May 10th, but it ends a little bit sooner than a couple other courses too as well. So that's something to be mindful of. But, if you don't care, it's okay. But if you're really trying to, maybe not take as much all at once, that's just, one caveat to that. So yeah, there's 4-week classes, 6-week classes, 8-week classes, and then there's summer term as well as session 1, session 2. So a lot of different sections. So if you want to filter that out, you definitely can. Otherwise, you can leave that blank and it'll pop up with any course that you're looking for too as well. One last thing to really be mindful of too as well is this mode of instruction. This mode of instruction, when you click it, it's going to pop up with the varying levels of, different ways of the course could be presented. So for instance, those that really want to have that in-person course experience, you will need to make sure, if you want to make sure that only courses that pop up in person, you can click the in-person tab. Otherwise, you might come across courses that you're like, oh, this is exciting, and I'll show you how to also look at that. If you don't necessarily have to do this, but if you're really looking at it, this is a great way to make sure you're guaranteed to only look at courses that are offered in person. But I'll show you another way to check it if you're looking at courses too as well. Hybrid delivery is, it's different. It's in person and online. So that's something, if you're not experiencing that, or if you're not sure about it, it might be good to kind of get a little bit more, experience taking courses. So, that's just something to be mindful of. And 100% online is distance learning. And so that's just, again, 100% online. Don't set foot on campus. That's kind of just some things to be mindful of too as well. So let's go ahead and we're going to look at the course that I originally saw on classes.osu.edu. So it was an art class. And the specific course was 2100. So the nice thing is it pops up with 2 different courses. So 2 different sections, I mean. So this is beginning drawing, and that's exactly what I was looking at the course. Now, specifically, the one that I was really looking at was I was looking at the in-person one. The way you can look at that just from first glance is right here, room number. So for instance, right here, if there's actually a room number here, that means it's in person. If it specifically states it's online, then it's online. Now, here's another thing we're going to look into. So I'm just going to show you guys real quick on, what happens when you click on specifically on these when you're searching for classes and looking at the information about it. Because that's also one way to kind of really look at what kind of information you're looking for in a class. Maybe you don't want to pay any fees. Sometimes they'll show up with some of the fees that are associated with the class. So that's kind of something to be mindful of too as well. So because I want to show you one specific thing, I'm going to show you the online course just so that way you're able to like look at it and see what's, going on with this. So this is really nice. So up here, it has all the information here. So it goes from 5 7:10 to 7:29. So that means it is the full term course. So it's not one of the 6-week, 8-week, 4-week courses. It also has, it meets online. So that's one thing you need to be mindful of too as well, is if there's times, that means it expects you to log in during this time period right here. So it's from 6:55 p.m. to 9:40 p.m., which is a late class. So if you're not a super late person, maybe you have a dead set bedtime. I usually go to bed by 10:30 at the latest. So that probably won't work for me because I have a routine. Whatever your reason might be, that might be something that you're like, okay, this schedule does not work for me. So another thing to be mindful of too as well is usually looking at class attributes, which is under enrollment information. Class attributes will usually talk about specific things that the course may have included. This is also a section where it will also include if there's a fee associated with it, if there's, a specific book that's going to be, course, whatever that might be. It also might include Carmen books if they utilize that. So you usually find that information here. So it looks like from here, looking at first glance, there's not any material fees. Now, note, when you pull up a syllabus, since this is a drawing class, they might have other things you might have to buy personally on your own. So that's just, something to be mindful too as well. Another thing I want you to take note of too is the description. So usually, I recommend people reading the description just to say, hey, this sounds interesting, making sure it's the exact class you're looking at, or maybe there's specific things that you really don't want to do. And maybe it has that as like a main thing too as well. So whatever that might be, that's kind of, I recommend people reading that. And then, so one big thing too as well to be note of too, and I'm going to show you a couple other examples just because it's really important to be mindful of those too as well, is you'll see different shapes. So for instance, green circle. Green circle means it is good to go. It's open. There's seats available. So looking at this class though, so under this class availability section. So if you're looking at it, and you're going to see, class capacity, enrollment total. So you can see the class capacity is 25. The enrollment total is 24, and the available seats left is 1. So, this is a class where you would have to, it looks like there's no prerequisites to the course, which is great. So that means you don't have to ask for instructor permission for this class. So if this is a class you really want, you can look at it and say, okay, I need to enroll in this. Or if, there's a couple other shapes that I'll go over too as well, that kind of gets a little bit tricky too as well. But if it's a green circle, it means it's good to go. It's open, that good stuff. The description section, like I said, you read it. It also lists sometimes prerequisites. This one in particular doesn't. So you can actually self-enroll in this course, so which is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and click out. I'm going to show you a couple other courses on this just so you can kind of get used to using the class search, but also seeing different types of courses that have different scenarios. So again, we're going to make sure we have all the right filters on. So, summer 22, Columbus, I'm actually deciding I'm going to do there's another art class. I decided off the blue that, hey, I really want to take this art class. Do I have experience in it? I don't know, but it seems pretty cool. So I'm going to type in 3002. And then I don't remember if I forgot to write down if it was online, who knows? But let's go ahead and click search and just see what happens. All right. So here's a scenario that is really important. So usually it's going to prompt you when you class search, it's always going to show up with this blue check mark right here. So for instance, I usually recommend keeping that check mark on just because it's going to show only the open classes, so the ones with the green circles. However, just for the sake of this, so you can kind of see what I'm looking at, I'm going to go ahead and click this blue button, and then I'm going to click search. All right, lo and behold, it pops up, the class that I've always wanted to take. It's the Intro to Ceramics Structure course. So you'll notice over here on the status tab, it's a yellow triangle. So those that do not have, a don't have experience in this, yellow triangle means there is a wait list. So with waitlisted courses, it is important to kind of look at the attributes of the course. So we're going to go ahead and click in there as well. So it's going to pop up with this. And so it does indicate that it's a wait list. Okay, another thing to mind of, again, is the session. So this one you can tell is not a full term because it specifically states 8-week session 2. So it's not going to start right on the very first day of summer term. So that's also something to be mindful of in regards to academic terms as well. It's also hybrid delivery. So that means there is an in-person component, which explains why there is a room number. However, there are components of the course that are online. So it looks like it meets Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, 12 o'clock to 3 p.m. However, there could also be other components of it being online. So that's just, something to be mindful too as well. Going down here, you can also notice the enrollment requirements. So there is a prerequisite, so not open to students with credit for 2502. So usually making sure you get instructor permissions for any prerequisite classes regardless, even if you haven't taken that course as a Program 60 participant. When in doubt, get instructor permission, especially if it lists as a prerequisite or it indicates it needs instructor permission. So that's something to be mindful of right through here. Class availability. So like I stated in the last course, it is important to look at the class capacity enrollment total. So it looks like it's already reached 20. The wait list capacity is listed as 999, which is a very large amount. And what you need to look at for these wait list courses is wait list total 3. So there's there's 3 people in the wait list. But basically, the nice thing about this is, if there's only 3 people are on the wait list, there is a potential that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get in the course if you're placed on the wait list. There's always that risk. However, with that small wait list, if you want to play your cards right, maybe you want to just self-enroll on that as a wait list, you might be able to get in the course. However, since this course has a prerequisite, you will need to fill out the instructor permission form, which we'll go over that in a bit. And that actually will email the instructors themselves. And sometimes with it being associated with Program 60, they sometimes might give you the approval for our office to enroll you over the wait list too as well. So there's different scenarios. So it really just depends on, how bad you want to take the course, or, if the instructor decides, hey, you're fine, we can get you in here, or they want you to do standard enrollment, which would just place you on the wait list. So that's something to be mindful of too as well. All right, so we're going to do one more scenario. All right. So the nice thing, let's see, let me pull this up. All right, let's say, maybe I'm a terrible public speaker. Let's go ahead, maybe I need to work on communications. Let's go to the communications just because it feels great. So I'm going to go ahead and type in the information I have. So this specific course I'm looking at is 2110. And we're going to go ahead, just because I know exactly what it is, I'm just going to keep this open because it's going to show up any course regardless if it's open, waitlist, whatever. So we're going to go ahead and click this. All right. So the nice thing about this course is we can indicate that there is a yellow triangle. So there is a waitlist on this course. And both courses, they're online. However, there's no times or days assigned to it. So that's kind of interesting. So, we're going to go a little bit into this. So I'm going to go ahead and click this. One thing also to be mindful of is the section. So it does indicate it's an 8-week class and it's offered session 1 and session 2. So that just, again, is different start dates, end dates. So it really just depends if you want to start taking classes the first day of, the summer term, or if you're cool with taking it the second half of summer term, whatever that might be. So I'm just going to go ahead, just because it is the same course, just offer different sessions. I'm just going to click the first one. So this one, you can identify that there's a wait list. So 5 people on there. There's right here, class attributes, there is a digital textbook fee of $38. So if that, you don't want to pay $38, you can opt out of Carmen Books for that, which we'll go over that. But also, that's not too bad of a book fee, so you might pay it. And it also might be required, especially for a course, if they surround the course with the book, they might say, you really need to take this. One thing for this specifically I wanted to show you is, even though it says distance learning, it's 100% distance learning, so it's online. Remember when I stated there's like no days and times and there's no like room number. So over here under the topic section, it's going to indicate, usually these types of courses that do not list times or, days, things like that. There's a course type called asynchronous, which means that you can actually take this class on your own time. So there's no assigned dates, like, some of the online courses we looked at, they, you have to log in during specific times. Whereas this, it's really nice. The instructor is there to grade, support you however you want to do it, but you get to take some of those courses. I mean, obviously with the syllabus, there's due dates, things like that, but you actually get to complete assignments, different things, different lectures on your own terms. So that's really nice. So that's really nice for those that want to have that experience. Maybe their schedules are really inflexible. Maybe you're still working, whatever that might be. That's always something to look at too as well. All right. And then the last thing I'm just going to show you guys real quick. So right up here, a closed course is a blue square. And that just means they're not taking any more enrollments, things like that. So I would try to avoid those because it means they're close to, fire code capacity. So that was one big caveat, is seat availability. There's a thing called fire code seat capacity. So meaning that, the seating, whatever they have listed on the course is like what they've deemed as the amount of students they accommodate in a room. So if it's a course that's max capacity, they can't override and get you in that course. So that's just something to be mindful of too as well. So I usually tell people, hey, this is already closed, try to pick another course. All right, any questions? I know, Todd, thank you for answering some of those in regards to the classes. If you're trying to look for beginner courses, it's usually the lower numbers. And so that's kind of a really nice way to determine that. But, there's definitely lots of different options, and it can be overwhelming at times. So if you ever, if you're having difficulty trying to kind of nail down a course, you can feel free to reach out to me. My email I can drop in a little bit is program60@osu.edu. You can also email me at feyh.23@osu.edu. Either way works, but you will be able to, you can ask any questions and I'll try to assist you as best as I can. All right. So enough about looking at courses. It's really exciting. So lots of different choices, lots of different options. It really just depends on, what you want your experience to be or what your expectations are. So I like this next slide just because I like data and I like pulling it out and seeing what people have been taking. So these two charts are based off of data I pulled from participants that have, taken courses with us past several terms. So I pulled up two sets of data, one with spring 22. So it's this current term, this spring 22 term that's going on right now, as well as previous summer terms top courses. And the reason I pulled out both is not all classes are offered every single term. So that's something to be mindful of too. So for instance, when you're looking at courses, if you're looking for something specific and you don't find it over the summer, chances are it could be offered in other terms as well. And so that's just, kind of the nature of the beast, is sometimes things aren't offered all the time, and it could be based off instructor, based off of, resources they have, whatever the reason is. So that's just something to be mindful of. These two charts right here in particular, really cool, just to see what, our participants have been taking. So in spring 2022, you can see a lot of people enjoy taking history classes. I know there's a history of the Holocaust class that was really, an interesting course to take. There's also, Spanish classes. So a lot of participants do enjoy taking, some language courses. I do want to make a note that some of the courses, language courses in particular, do expect, full participation. So if you're not able to participate the full capacity that you feel like you can, maybe wait until you do have that, full 100% attention. But again, it really just depends on, what your expectations or your goals in reaching out and talking with the instructor too as well. Several other history courses. I know there was a history art class that a lot of people took, and that was in summer 2021. A couple other classes. So there was like a basic psych course that was taken last summer, philosophy class that I was taking, business finance, which that's impressive too. Definitely a lot of cool stuff. And then German was definitely the top course for summer 2021. So again, language courses, history courses, a lot of different courses out there, but this is a really cool demographic page. So that way you can kind of see the top 6 courses that we're taking at, for each of these terms. So a really helpful tool for those that, really kind of get overwhelmed with just like needing some organization to their life in regards to setting up like specific information you need to pull from classes. So I know when I was going through the class search, I had, I said, we need to write down, the section number, the class name, maybe the instructor name, specific things like that. This form right here, you can also access it on our website. We have, this outline specific information that you can write down. So it's a really cool tool just to use for your own personal basis of, getting all the information you need. So that way, when you get to the point of instructor permissions, things like that, really easy. So that's kind of a nice, easy way to go along with that. So it's optional. So if you kind of like doing things your own way, you don't necessarily have to use this, but this is a really nice way to keep things organized if you want to. All right. So review your to-do list. So I know I've communicated with some of you that have already gone through the initial steps, is reviewing our to-do list is important just because if you do not complete the items on your to-do list in your Buckeye link, you're not going to be able to enroll in courses. It's a really important thing to do that just because a lot of different factors, things like that can affect, even, prolong it to the point where we can't process your enrollment because of certain things that put holds on your account. So I'm going to show you to get on the website how to access to get, the links to get to specific where you need to go. It's under your specific Buckeye link where you'll need to log in. So I'm going to show you how to log into that. So we're first going to go to the Program 60 website. So we're going to go ahead. So you type in program60.osu.edu. You're going to go under the Participate tab. So everything you need to know, like what we've been doing all day, is under Participate tab. You're then going to scroll down all the way to step 5, which is review your to-do list. You're going to click that. From there, it's going to outline everything that you need. The nice thing about it is it outlines all the specific things like screenshots, steps, things like that. Specific things that can cause holds or prolong your enrollment. So we'll kind of touch base on this too as well on the next slide, but I'm just showing you that we have all this information. 3 things that can cause prolonging your enrollment is COVID vaccination requirement. This is something that is required for all participants that are trying to take in-person experience courses. And that also includes those that are partially online. If they're in person at all, you do have to fulfill this. If you have an exemption, there's a way to do that as well. Otherwise, if you don't, you can only participate in online courses and our office has to process your enrollment, regardless if it's a course that has no prerequisites at all. So there's a screenshot. And like I said, I'm going to go through this step by step so that way you don't have to, but I'm just showing you the information that's included on this specific page. Another thing on the to-do list is usually 9 times out of 10 is your financial responsibility statement. This one is guaranteed going to put a hold on your account every single time, and you will not be able to process your enrollment, even if you're trying to self-enroll. If you have not completed this, it will put a hold and you cannot process. You can't enroll. But it's really easy. I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm also going to, show you just like all the other different trainings, just like where to go to. But usually those won't put a hold on it unless, it's taking, you haven't done it in like several terms, and then it'll put a hold on your account. So just be mindful. If you see stuff on your to-do list, always complete it. But I'm going to go ahead and just scroll back up here and take you to Buckeye Link to get to your account just to see what it looks like and where you can find those items. All right, so we're going to Buckeye Link. And then I'm going to, the nice thing about this, so you're back on Buckeye Link. So again, this Buckeye Link is like one-stop shop on how to get to any accounts you need, different ways to direct you to do the services that you need to complete. So for you, you would go to My Buckeye Links, the student login. Click that. Perfect. And it's going to ask me for this. So again, this is the Mobile Duo. So it's going to ask me to authenticate. The nice thing about this too as well is if you don't want to keep on having to keep on clicking it, there's actually a button here that says remember me for 1 day. But just so that way we kind of keep on seeing this, I'm just going to go ahead and click that out. So that way, you know, this is the Buckeye Mobile Duo thing. So it's going to send me a push. And I'm going to wait for it. Yep. And it came to my phone, because that's the service that I linked up. And I'm going to go ahead and click approve. So the green checkbox, and it's going to allow me to get to my account, which is really nice. From there, it's going to pop up on here. So this is very similar to what you guys see. This is my account. However, I don't have all the capacities. I realize that. And so I'll be able to show you some things, but not everything. So it's going to be a little bit different than what you experience. The nice thing is you can kind of see I have no holds. I have none. I'm surprised I don't have any, but I don't. And that's just because I've completed most of my to-do list items. So the nice thing about this is you'll log in to your Buckeye Link, student link, and it's going to pop up with your main screen. You're always going to look to the right-hand side. So you'll notice, holds. If you have any sort of holds on here right now, it's because you haven't completed any of the to-do list items. Or you may have outstanding fees from a previous term. But if you're coming in here brand new, chances are you do not have any fees whatsoever. So you're going to go to your to-do list. So the nice thing is you're going to click more. And it's going to list out every single items that you need to complete. It looks like I still need to complete my campus safety training. So I would just click that. And then there's usually going to pop up the screen. With any of the links that are popped up on your screen, it's going to pop up and say, hey, you need to complete this. And you just click that link and it'll take you and it'll prompt you to complete the steps. Now, for the campus safety training, it is going to just say, hey, it's going to take 10 to 14 days to process. So I would do that sooner rather than later. So that way further down the line in your, higher education career doesn't cause any holds. Another thing that'll pop up, you'll be able to go back is basically there'll be the financial responsibility statement. Usually you'll click that link and then it'll take you and you'll ask 3 different questions. And once you click the yes on each of those questions, and note, you have to do that every single term. So be mindful. I'll send emails every single term to remind you all that you need to complete your FRS statement. Otherwise it's going to deter you from enrolling. But also, if I notice that when you request instructor permissions throughout the terms, I'll reach out to you, say, hey, you need to complete this. Otherwise we can't process your enrollment. But every single term, you'll have to complete the financial responsibility statement. And yeah, we're not, you guys aren't paying tuition or anything, but it's just something the university requires, especially if you do have, some fees that are associated with the class. It just indicates that, you acknowledge that there are some financial that you are responsible for paying for. I'm going to go ahead and just because since I don't have it pulled up on my account, just because I have all my holds taken care of, I'm going to show you a resource that has screenshots on what the financial responsibility statement looks like. So give me 1 second going to that. All right, so to-do list. Perfect. So this is kind of screenshots, really nice. I'll actually put this in the chat box too as well, so that way everyone has access to this. But it's going to show you how to complete certain things. So I'll pop up under your to-do list. And for the financial responsibility statement, it'll literally pop up with 3 questions, say, yes, I acknowledge this, things like that, and it'll go from there. Another thing I'm going to pop up to as well, should pop up. Okay, well, that's fun. All right, it's not going to pop up what I want, but that's okay. Sometimes it's like that. But I'm going to go ahead and go back to my student account then. All right, so like I indicated, any of the complete to-do list items are all under this section right here. So the vaccination requirement is also something we're going to talk about too, and that will pop under here too as well. If you don't complete it within 28 days of registering as a Program 60 participant, it will put a hold on your account. So we won't be able to do anything unless you're taking online courses only. So, but we're going to go into that a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and switch back to the PowerPoint so we can kind of go over some of the vaccination requirements. So, all right. So, like I indicated, COVID-19 vaccination requirement, it's been in place. Our organization requires it. Anyone that's participating in in-person courses to have either vaccination card upload or medical or religious exemptions. Otherwise, anyone that's on campus anyone that's not vaccinated or has an exemption has to, refrain from being on campus for those courses. You can always visit the safeandhealthy.osu.edu website, which outlines all the latest updates and policies regarding vaccination and all that kind of thing. But we are going to go over how to complete the to-do list item for the vaccination requirement to complete that. So there is 2 parts to it. So that's one thing that has confused some people in the past is you need to upload your vaccination card or your exemption, as well as signing the consent form on MyBuckMD. And so I'm going to show you a couple ways on how to do this, and then I can give you kind of troubleshooting tips in regards to the overall process. But then from there, if there's ever any issues at all with like uploading, like let's say you see you're having errors that pop up with uploading the card, or maybe it indicates that the card size, the picture of the card or the exemption is too large, you can always email that to this email right here, which is the vaccination@osu.edu email. But we're going to go to our website just so I can show you the screenshots, and then I'm going to take you to the actual website on how to complete this to-do list item. So we are going to go back to our website, so program60.osu.edu. And we're still under step 5. So, we've gone through that. We've gone through the FRS statement, the COVID-19 vaccination requirement. So we are going to travel to the Student Health Services website for the BuckMD link. But this screenshot right here shows you specifically on where to click at this website. I'm going to show you how to do it, as well as how to upload your information. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to click this link right here. From here, this is very similar. It's the same exact thing as what's the screenshots that are on the website. So if you ever need to reference it, reference to our website. So you're going to click the MyBuckMD website link. And then it will prompt you to log in. Since I clicked I've done it previously, I'm already logged in. From there, it's going to pop up the screen. We're first going to show how to complete the consent form, just because that is indicating that you have, you're releasing your information to the university, so that way they're able to process it and indicate that you have received or have a exemption for the vaccination. So where you need to go specifically for the form is you go under My Forms. Right now, since I've completed mine, it doesn't pop up, but there's a link right here. That link will prompt you specifically, to read through a paragraph in regards to, the information about, the form. And then at the end, it's going to have you electronically sign. If there's difficulties accessing this, like in regards to maybe you're trying to click it and there's an error, it says that you can't complete this step, feel free to reach out to vaccination@osu.edu, and they can assist you that way, just because that would be an internal electronic system error. But that's where you go to the consent form. So you do need to do the consent form first. The second thing you'll need to do is upload your COVID-19 vaccination card or your exemption. So we're going to go to document upload. So that's where you click. So it's the second from the right. And it will pop up with this screen. So it will indicate that your card or your exemption has to have your full name and your date of birth. So if it doesn't, you're going to have to get that processed, whatever that might be. From there, the document type, you're going to click here to the document type. For vaccination cards, you are going to click the COVID-19 vaccination records. That's what it is specifically. I don't click the insurance card and forms. That's completely different than the vaccination card. So I would click this one specifically. Obviously, if you do have an exemption, you would click the vaccine exemption form. So we're just going to pull that up. And then from there, you'll need to take a picture of your vaccination card, or if you've already take a picture of your exemption. Now, one thing I'm going to show you is the exemption form too as well. And for those of you that are going to apply for the exemption, if you have a religious or medical reason, you do have to get it notarized. That was something that we came across during last term, so you will have to get that notarized. So just heads up with that. But once you kind of upload that information, you click save, and that should pull up. Now, like I stated previously, if there's, maybe the size of the photo is too big or whatever, if there's errors, it does indicate that you can email that card specifically to vaccination@osu.edu. From there, it usually takes several days for the process. This hold that accrues on your account, there's nothing we can do on our end in regards to taking it off. It's simply, we just have to wait. So I would try to take care of this as soon as you can. Otherwise, closer to the day, it gets a little bit dicey in regards to if we can get you in some of the courses, especially if you're trying to take in-person experiences. I am going to go ahead and go back to the main website just so I can see to the shs.osu.edu website, so I can show you where to find the exemption form for those that are, wanting to do the exemption route. So you go to this main page and you're scroll down here, and you're actually going to come over here, and it's, right here, and you'll download it. You'll have to print it, fill it out, get it notarized, and then upload it, whether you scan it or you take a picture, whatever that might be. That's kind of the process that has to happen. So that's where any of these forms come through. But yeah, so that's kind of navigating the BuckMD website for the vaccination upload. Like I said, we have the screenshots on our website. So if you forget how to get to this, you can refer to that. But also if there's issues, errors, things like that, you can reach out to vaccination@osu.edu. All right. So now, once you've kind of gotten through those steps, complete your to-do list items. So the FRS statement, getting the vaccination requirement completed. And let's say all the holds are taken care of. So you'll notice under your holds section on your Buckeye Link student account, it'll say no holds. That means you are good to go to process your enrollment. The nice thing about this is you will need to, I'm going to show you how to do the instructor permission form. That's one big thing to go around, especially with courses like I indicated previously, that list, it has prerequisites, or it indicates instructor permission is required, you'll have to go on with that. We highly recommend using the instructor permission form just because it communicates with us as well as the instructor, so we can actually directly follow up with that instructor a lot quicker, and we're able to process it a little bit sooner, and keep track of it. But we're going to go ahead and show you how to enroll. So for courses that that don't have prerequisites either, that's a really nice thing, just because you can, if you're comfortable with it, you can self-enroll. However, with my account, I'm not able to show you directly, specifically from my account standpoint, but I am going to show you where to go to, as well as the screenshots on how to, enroll as well. So that way, you kind of get an idea. And then that way, if there's any other issues, you can reach out and we can kind of do a one-on-one with that. But I just wanted to give you a heads up with that. But we'll go ahead and jump into this, and then we'll go into the instructor permissions. So this is for those that are self-enrolling. If the course is deemed, not have prerequisites or instructor permission, required, you can do this. So the window is open until May 20th. You won't be able to do it after that, but we'll kind of go from there. So I'm going to go ahead. We are going to go back to our website just so that way you get used to kind of looking at the website and navigating it. So we are going to go under participate again, and we're going to scroll down to step 6. We're going to click step 6. It's going to pop up, and it's just going to give you a reminder that you have to, it's this taking courses through Program 60 is instructor permission space available basis. So there are, caveats. So some of the courses, maybe instructors do want you to get instructor permissions or whatever that might be, but that's something important. From there, it's just going to outline different information needed, but we're going to go ahead and taking classes without prerequisites. So we're going to go ahead to Buckeye Link, just good old Buckeye Link, go back to it. And then we're going to go back to our student Buckeye Link account. So like I indicated, I'm not able to fully complete this process just because of my account, but I'm going to show you where to go to, and then we're going to follow step by step on the screenshots. So hopefully, this is helpful, but obviously, I'm willing to assist where need be too as well. So you're going to go back to your main screen here, and on the right-hand side, you're going to notice under, it says academics. So you're going to note over here, there's different things. There's add a class, drop a class, different things right there. So for the sake of enrollment, obviously you're going to click add a class. From there, it's going to pop up with this screen. Remember the enrollment tracker document or me indicating when we were looking at classes, specific information that's needed. You'll need to make sure you have that information available. So for this section right here, you're going to want to, you can either click the specific section number and you'll type that in there, or you can go through class search. So you can search through there. Note, since I'm not able to complete the step, I'm going to pull up screenshots, but this is going to pull up the class search through Buckeye Link, which is great because we've just already completed that. From there, you're going to be able to click specific course you want, and we'll be able to proceed through the other things. But I'm going to go ahead and get back to just getting the different how to enroll in classes, things like that. Where's that? Oh, that was not what I wanted. All right, round 2. There we go. All right, so I'm going to go to enrollment. This is just where I'm getting my screenshots for this. All right, so when you get into the enrollment, so when you click add class, it should pop up. If you've been in the specific, maybe you're a previous Program 60 participant and maybe you've taken course in the past, it will prompt you with this, specifically, whatever term you're looking to take classes in. So you'll need to make sure you click summer 2022. Very important to do that just because you want to make sure you're enrolling in the correct term. From there, it's going to pop up with, specific enrollment dates, things like that. But then you're going to go to add a class. That's where you're going to type in the number specifically in regards to the section number. From there, it's going to have you, you can either search for a class. So you'll click search. So this button right here. And then it's going to pop up with the same class search thing from the Buckeye link. So you'll type in whatever information, you'll click campus, make sure it's whatever campus you want. So Columbus. And then you'll be able to put in, if it's an art class, click art, as well as a specific number. And then once you click that, whatever information you need for that specific course, you click search, and then it'll pop up with this specific screen that shows specific courses that you're looking for. You'll click whatever class you're looking at. You'll click select class. From there, it's going to pop up, it'll prompt you to select more class details. So like you'll be able to see a little bit more in regards to the information itself. So you'll be able to see if there's a wait list. With it being this specific course being a green circle class, it means it's open. It looks like on this specific course, there's 250 seats available. So chances are you're gonna get in that course. It's open. This also, you'll have to make sure you double check your information. But if this looks all good, you'll be able to click select class. And then from there, you'll be able to also double check in regards to what type of instruction it looks like. And then from there, it'll pop up with this screen. Once you've kind of kept on clicking next, it'll pop up with this. Note if there's specific prerequisites, you will have to, that's one way to determine that you might not be able to enroll. Self-enroll if there's a prerequisite. So you'll need to make sure, you keep track of that, and you'll need to get instructor permission for that. But you'll click next for that. And then you'll click whatever classes you're enrolling in, and you'll click next. So it's a lot of clicking next. And then once you, again, look at this, you'll click next. And then it'll pop up with all these classes all in the same, the same window. So back to that same original screen that when we first go into Buckeye Link and click add classes, it'll pop these up in your shopping cart. So once they're in your shopping cart, then you can click proceed to step 2 of 3. And then once you have this, you look at it, it says all the circles are green, things like that. Then you'll click finish enrolling. And then when you've successfully enrolled in a class, it will pop up with the course, and it says success, as well as a green check mark. So that means you're good to go. You enrolled in that class successfully. Now, for classes that, like I said, some of those classes that pulled up have prerequisites. For Program 60 in particular, we do have to, get instructor permission for those. So that's one error that can pop up is, when you're trying to self-enroll, and maybe you forget that there's a prerequisite. And maybe once you click with this, it might pop up and say you can't enroll because of prerequisite. Another thing could be also looking at times. So if you have 2 classes that are overlapping, that's also another, difficulty of you can't have 2 classes that are overlapping too as well. So that could also pop up with an error. But then once you've, successfully enrolled in classes, if, they have no prerequisites, it'll pop up under your course schedule. And it'll pop up. You can look if there's any books you need to buy, you can click that. But basically that's kind of a really quick way to, reference this and see how to enroll in these classes. So I'm going to go ahead and put this also in the link. So that way everyone has access to this. But then I'm going to show you where you'll be able to find your classes once you've successfully enrolled with them, if you've self-enrolled. So we are going to go back here. So once you successfully added a class, it should, if it's for the summer term, if you're not currently enrolled in spring term classes, it should automatically pop up right here. So the classes will be right here. If you're currently in spring term, your classes, you can go to your class schedule. You'll click that under academics, and then it'll pop up with it'll say what term. And so it'll say summer term, autumn term, and then spring term. You'll click the summer term that you're looking at, and then it'll pop up with the actual courses that you've successfully enrolled in. So that's kind of a quick summary in regards to enrolling of, self-enrolling. Now, for enrolling in courses with prerequisites. So I'm actually going to show you going back to the Program 60 website. Our office will actually process all enrollments that have prerequisites with instructor permission. So that's why it's important to, make sure you look at that, because then you can submit the form and we can do all the behind the scenes things too as well. So I'm going to show you how to access that. All right, so we're going to go back to step 6. In step 6, again, we've been on that page, so you'll continue to scroll down. So we just completed the step of enrolling classes without prerequisites. We're now going to go to courses that have prerequisites or identify that they need instructor permission. So I highly recommend using this form. The form link is right here, and I'm actually going to show you step by step on how to fill it out. So using the information you've collected from your classes that you've looked, and maybe you identify that a class has a instructor permission or has prerequisites, then I'm going to show you how to do that. That's when you would use this form. So we're going to go ahead and click this. And it's really nice. There's actually, in case you forget specific information, this infographic right here actually gets carried throughout it. So that way you can always reference it if you're trying to fill out something. It's really useful. One thing that is really nice too is you'll need to have the instructor's email. We have Ohio State Find People directory that's really super easy to use, and recommend using to find the emails. That is something that you'll need to have pulled up along with the instructor permission form. So I'm going to go ahead and just pull that up so I have it right next to it. But we're going to go ahead and click begin. So you're always going to scroll to the bottom and click the red button. So for here, it's just going to prompt you. So I'm going to just type in my name. And then I'm just going to do that. All right. Once you have that information in, then you click next. It's going to ask you what campus you're looking at the course at. So again, it's nice to be mindful of what course you're looking at. So you're going to click Columbus, and you're scroll down and click next. So always click the red button. All right, so this section up here, it's more so there's specific other guidelines for specific departments, but usually, you can click all others. So like if you don't see your specific department, like for that course specifically listed, you can just click all others. I'm going to go ahead and click all others, just so that way, no emails are sent from my behalf regarding instructor permissions, just because I'm not taking a course. But there's all different types of courses, that you can click that. So I'm going to click all others. And again, there's the infographic that shows what information is needed to plug into the instructor permission. So using the art class that I specifically wanted earlier, I'm going to go ahead and click in that information. So we have that. So I'm going to type in art because that's specific, number. So right here, you can look right here. So you'll do the subject department that's right here. And then course number. You'll click in where it says click course number. So every single time you find a course, this is like what it'll look like. Not specifically this information, but where the information's at. So you'll type in the number. So for me, it's 2100. And then the specific class number, so that's usually this right here, this class number. It's very important to have, it allows our office to also process your enrollment a lot easier. And we know specifically what section you're looking at. So I'm going to click in 2, 3, 6, 9, 7, 9. Perfect. So I'll click that. Once that information's there, I'm going to click next. Just because I'm not actually sending this, I'm going to use my email, but to find an email, and I'm just going to use mine. So we're going to go to the Find People directory. So you can click that link and it'll pop up with this. Now, it looks like you have to pull all the information up to use this. You don't. So for instance, for the instructors that are listed on the course, you would just type in their last name and the first name. So for me, I'm just going to type in my name just because. And let's say I don't have access to my email or my username or whatever. Once you have information that you have accessible, you can click submit. And then you'll see the email that you're looking for. So you'll look at email and that's the email you'll input. And you can do reverse like different things. So maybe you have a username, you don't know the person's name, it'll pop up with their name too as well. So that's kind of a really nice tool to use to fill this out. For courses that maybe don't have instructors, maybe it says to be determined, or maybe just, they don't have, a specific email that pops up. I usually recommend reaching out to the department. You can usually, specific classes have departments. You can go to their website, and usually they have a general email that's at the bottom of the page. You can use that email to reach out, just say, hey, like I'm interested, or have it forwarded to whatever instructor you're trying to get a hold of. That's one way to do that too as well. But usually if there's, if you have a hard time, I always also recommend, if it's taking too much time, to look at other, prospective courses too as well, in case that doesn't go through the way we want it. So I'm just going to type in my name here, just because. It's going to ask you to verify the email, just because sometimes people misspell it, and we want to make sure our office has the correct email, as well as this form gets sent out to that instructor. So we want to make sure it gets to them. So I'm going to click next, because it looks like I've completely emailed that correctly. It is going to prompt, just say, are you specifically looking to request into enrolling in a specific resuscitation or lab? So this question is really specifically for any classes that have labs associated. So if maybe you're taking a chemistry class and it has a lab, we do have to enroll you in both, just because of how the classes are set up. So it is important to also look at the lab section number 2. So I'm just going to say yes, just so I have that. I'll type in a random number that's usually associated as like the class number for the lab. That allows us to make sure we get you in the right lab if you request it. And lastly, you need to make sure you click the right term. And then down here, I really do recommend writing, this is kind of just your previous experience of maybe the subject matter, or maybe, it's a reason why you want to take the course, whatever that might be. I recommend just stating, your name, what your goals are with the course. If you have any pertaining information that might be helpful for the instructor to read about, so that way they understand why you're wanting to take the course. And like I said towards the beginning of the presentation, this is also helpful, especially if, first glance looking at someone that's auditing a course, if you have previous experience in like neuroscience or like chemistry, maybe you retired from being a chemist, whatever that might be, that would be helpful to put in here, so that way they understand your level of knowledge of specific courses. But that's just something to be mindful of too as well. So I'm just going to say, because just for the sake of time, I like drawing. I have previous experience drawing pictures of Brutus the Buckeye. All right. So because of that, I was like, okay, so that's my experience as to why. Once I do that, I click submit. And then from there, it's going to be processed. Our office receives an email, so we'll receive it, as well as that email specifically for the instructor will also give them. You'll also receive an email for whatever email you inputted for, for it to come back to you. You'll get a confirmation that you submitted this correctly. So this is the easiest way to get instructor permissions. It also saves time in regards to the communication. But yeah, so that's instructor permission. So fill this out when there's prerequisites, instructor permission granted, or if you just want our office to process, I recommend using this too as well. All right. So I know I went through a good amount of different things, but yeah. So we went through instructor permission. If there's any questions regarding that, let me know. The next thing, so once we've enrolled you, we usually send you an email, confirmation email saying we've successfully enrolled you, X, Y, and Z. And note, we do want to indicate that, if an instructor approves you, that is for standard enrollment. So that means if there's a wait list on there, you'll be put on the wait list. Now, we've included on the form when it sends an instructor, if they could say, whether or not, if the class is waitlisted, if they approve to enroll you over wait list, then for things like that, that's something to be mindful of, that they could say yes, but if it's approved, it means it's standard enrollment. And so, you could have the chance of being waitlisted. But if the waitlist is small, then you have a higher chance of still getting into the course. So after everything is said and done in regards to the different courses, you've enrolled, you've completed all your to-do step items. The next step is making sure you pay your fees. This is a really big thing. So to check your fees, so like I indicated with some of the courses, sometimes a list like specific fees that are associated with courses, you'll need to be mindful of that. Also in regards to, if maybe there's a book fee, that will pop up on there. You'll need to pay that as soon as you can. Otherwise, you could accrue fees further down the line. So that's important to do. So I'm going to show you how to first, note if you do have fees associated with the class, and B, how do you go along paying for fees? And so from there, I'm going to show you how to get to those steps. There's different ways to get to where you're going, but I'm going to do what makes the most sense in regards to trying to find where you need to go. So we are going to go back to the website. This should be the last step in regards to the participate tab, which is exciting. So once you get to this step, good to go, you're good for the term. So we are going to go back to participate on the Program 60 website. You're going to go down to step 7. So pay course fees. Yeah, so I will talk about Carmen Books soon. So that's part of the fees too. So I'll definitely do that as well. So going through step pay course fees. So this is there's different ways on how to do that. There's a way to mail your payment. It's not sometimes the most secure way, but you can definitely do that. There's also ways to make a payment online. To mail it in, you would need to mail it to this specific address right here. So we do have that listed on our website. I am going to show you how to make a payment online, but I'm also going to show you where to find the fees. So we are going to log back into our Buckeye link. And I have a lot of tabs open. So, all right, so we're going to go back to Student Link just so I'm going to show you where you can find on your account. We're back to this main page where everything happens. Where you can find if you have fees is right in this section. So outstanding charges. So if it's already been posted on your account, it'll note right here, X amount of money that you owe. If it hasn't been fully processed or you're not sure, I always recommend going to your statement of account. If you've been enrolled in the university for many years, you can click the term. Like I said, I don't have access to that at this moment. I don't have any fees, so it's not going to pull up. But basically, you would pull up your statement account, and it will pop up with this page right here. It'll outline adjusted like what payments that you owe. So like, for instance, if you have Carmen Books fees associated, or if there's like a materials fee, that'll line up right here. You'll be able to see that, and then it'll prompt you on how to make that payment. So this is just different information, or if you have questions regarding your account, you can always reach out to Buckeye Link at osu.edu. So how to pay for, the fee. So like now you identify that you have a fee. There's a couple ways you can do this. Since we're already on our Buckeye Link account, I'm going to show you where you can find it on here. I'm also going to show you the main app page on where to find it as well. But we are going to go down here to the financial information. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can count. So it's under financial information. And we are going to click the financial services bursar link. So that's going to directly take you over to this page. From there, there's 2 big red buttons. You're going to pick the pay tuition and fees. Now you're not being charged tuition, but this is where you pay your fees. So I don't want you to like freak out that you're like, oh my gosh, like I have to pay tuition. No, this is just where you pay your fees. So you're going to click pay tuition and fees. Since I've already done my Duo Mobile authentication, it's going to automatically log me in. However, for you guys, you would specifically, it'll prompt you to log in with your verification, and then it'll pop you up. It'll usually pop up with any like notifications on the side, so that's kind of nice. But maybe saying you have past payments due or anything like that, it'll pop up here. From here on the left-hand side, what you're going to be focusing on is this tab right through here. For here, this is just your main page. It'll obviously usually show up, the amount that's due, so it should be the same as what's in your statement of account in your Buckeye Link account. From here, you're going to go over to make a payment, so you always click that. And since I don't have any fees due, I don't have to click anything, but basically it'll pop up with like, if you have fees, it'll prompt you specifically on how to pay that and you'll be good to go. Like I indicated before, if you don't want to pay it online, you can also do it by mailing it in to the address that is in our website. So that's like the 2 different ways to complete that. I am going to show you where to find how to get to this if you don't want to log in your Buckeye Link, just because options are great. So basically, you can scroll down. Usually it'll pop up if there's any fees, but I'm going to go ahead and type in pay fees. From there, I'm going to click payment student. So I'm going to click payment. And it's going to take you to the same page that we were just on. So whatever that might be, maybe if you forget how to get to it on your Buckeye Link, this is another way to get to it. Since I'm already logged in, I think that's why it's having a hard time. So I'm going to click out of that, give it a break. All right, so paying for fees, that's pretty quick and easy way to do it. Other than that, we'll kind of go into the next steps in regards to what you need. Just overview. We're going to do an overview in regards to, the Carmen books and, Program 60 checklist in regards to what steps are needed. So we are just recap. You got to make sure you're registered to Program 60, activate your Ohio State username. You need to make sure you set up your Buckeye Pass, Buckeye Mail, complete to-do list items. There's also, how to search and enroll in courses, request your instructor permission, pay course fees, and then also if you want to opt out of Carmen books, which I'm going to show that right now. So the pros and cons to Carmen books is, Carmen books, some of the courses, they do heavily rely on Carmen books. It's a digital book. It's part of the Affordable Learning Exchange. So they are the lowest price that the campus can offer. And so that's kind of nice. Some courses are designed around the book. So for instance, if it's an online course, they might be revolving heavily around the resources that are with that book. So if you get, you talk with your instructor and to say, you can always reach out to them to say, hey, I'm, do I need to have this Carmen book? Is it necessary? And they can be like, they can say, yes, it's heavily intensive, or they're like, no, it's optional. Opting out just simply means if you don't want to pay for it, if it's not necessary for the learning experience, you can pay, for other books outside, but, you might not have all that other, other good stuff that might be with the electronic book that make offer with the course. So, I've seen people do both where they get a hard copy and that it just depends on how much you want to go along with it. But, it's definitely nice to have, like, if you have like whatever the course says you need to have, but it really just depends on what you're interested in and the capacity you want to be engaged in the course and things like that. I'm going to pull up the Carmen books real quick just to show you how to opt out. So I'm going to do that real quick. And I will be sending this via email. So like I stated, I usually send reminder emails as well as links and supportive guides. So I'll be sending this out closer to multiple times until it gets closer to the date. And then I'll send that more frequently. And so you'll be able to reach out to this too as well. So to opt out of Carmen Books, you just simply go to this website. So the teaching.resources.osu.edu/ all that good stuff. And there's a link right here that says request form. And yes, you would have to opt in and out semester by semester. It's not a blanket statement. This is for specific courses. So it's a course by course. So you would have to opt out for every single course that may have Carmen Books. Not all courses have Carmen Books, and they would identify in the class itself as an attribute. One of the courses we saw, it said digital, and that identifies that is a Carmen book. So, but you'll fill out your name, your last name, and then your student ID number that you received, in your email, but you also can access that at the very top of your Buckeye Student Link account. That's really nice. From there, you fill that out, and then you'll click submit, and then they process it, and then you won't have to do anything else. They will opt it out of your account. So that's kind of a really nice thing. We are going to touch base on a couple other questions that were on here, but just giving you guys a heads up with the Carmen book situation. All right. So some of the questions that were, asked apply under these sections, as well as some of the resources we have on the website. So some additional resources, Buck ID cards. So you can get a Buck ID card. So every student, you guys can go to the Buck ID services in the student union and you can receive that. Or if you don't plan on coming on campus, you don't have to, but you can get that if you'd like. Another thing is university libraries. You do have access to the university libraries on campus. And so, you present ID or, proof of that you're a Program 60 participant, and they would get you in, be able to access books and things like that. And then also campus bus. You're able to jump on the bus that's on campus. There are discounted rates for transportation and parking. Not necessarily parking. You would have to pay for parking passes, which are through Campus Park. But for parking and different modes of transportation, we do have different services. So I'll show you guys where to access that. Student Life Disability Services, you can reach out to them if you have any accommodations that you need. Another great thing is we do have Program 60 Association, which is not associated with our organization, but is Program 60 participants that created this organization. That it's a social group. They do different events through the term. It's a really great way to meet people. You can access that on our website, also through that link, to be able to see what they're about. They meet once a quarter, talk about different things. We talk about different, changes that are going on with Program 60, whatever that might be, but it's a really great way to get to know people and kind of have a community within the Program 60. Another great resource we have, which you'd all qualify, is Give Back, Go Forward. You can access that on our website too. And basically it goes over everything in regards to becoming Give Back, Go Forward volunteer. We have 3 partnership sites that you can volunteer at: Columbus Metro Libraries, Mid-Ohio Food Collective, as well as St. Stephen's Community House. And if you volunteer at those places, for a whole year, if you get up to 200 hours, you'll be able to get up to 2 vouchers that are 3 credit vouchers that you can submit, either use for yourself to get credit for courses, or you can donate to those that are in need. So it's a really great program. You qualify, you just have to register to become a Give Back Go Forward volunteer and volunteer at those 3 partnership sites. And last, this resource, COVID-19 Safe and Healthy, is the one that I referenced to with any updates with policies of COVID-19 vaccination. I am going to just go on our website just to access some of the resources, just because I did see, different directory in regards to different acronyms. There's also, I'll make note of some of the other different questions that came across, but just giving you a heads up in regards to what next steps are. So I'm going to go ahead and pull back up our website. So we've gone through the participate tab. So at this point, you're successfully enrolled, which is awesome. But I'm going to go ahead and just show you where you can access different information too, because our website does have a lot of different resources attached to it. So for the last slide that I showed, this is where you can access some of this information. So like the perks and benefits, you can go through here. There's a lot of different things. Carmen Books, the form is right here too as well. Carmen Canvas is something that's associated with courses. So usually this doesn't get uploaded after you enroll in your course. It doesn't get uploaded associated with your course until 1 to 2 days after. If it's way before the start of the term, it won't pop up until the instructor pulls up the course. So this is just like where you access some of the homework assignments, upload, things like that. There are links on how to get those resources. There's also computer training. So if you have difficulty utilizing computers or want some extra skills, there's specific courses as well as different sources at the Columbus Metro Libraries that have classes geared towards utilizing computers. And department abbreviations. So for specific courses, things like that, this is where you could find different classes, departments through this link right here. And there's just a variety of different resources through here that you can, access through. Nice benefit about Program 60 is you do have access to, you'll be able to get discounted rates to be, able to use the RPAC, which is the recreational center. So using pools, things like that at a discounted rate. Unfortunately, this is one big question I normally get is if you get student rate tickets, you don't for football. And that's just because you're taking classes for audit. And you're also not, you're not eligible to take study abroad for audit as well. So that's kind of that resource right there. There's also regional campuses tab that goes over different sections of just like who each contact is. So I'm the main direct contact for Columbus, as well as I'm kind of the direct support for all the regionals. But each campus does have a specific person that has a little bit more knowledge base of the courses that are offered at each of those campuses. So, there's one for each of the regionals, so you can reach out to the specific person. We have been assigning advisors specifically based off of whatever, the person has opted for, whatever campus they plan on taking. A question I did see is if you can take classes through Program 60 at any regional campus, even if you registered specifically for one campus. Yes. No, you would have to drive back and forth if you plan on taking in-person classes, but if you plan on taking online courses, you can definitely do that. You can also do, there's a lot of different opportunities that you can, you just have to pay for fees and things like that. But yeah, so that's kind of a nice thing for regional campuses. There's also maps that you can access to. The biggest thing I've come across is also parking. Parking, you are in charge of paying for your own parking if you plan on taking in-person courses. Campus Park, they will work with you. I do want to indicate that if you just enrolled in a class, you won't be, or just registered, you won't be able to purchase a parking pass until like 1 to 2 days after that you've enrolled in a class. So just heads up with that, just because that was an issue that we did see that people were being proactive, which is great. You just weren't able to, purchase that pass until after you've been, processing the enrollment. Another thing is you can go through the bus transportation. So there are different routes. CODA also gives discounted rates for those that are 65 and older. So that's something you can access. We do have the map, Campus Park, the links right there. And then paratransit. So this is really nice. So I usually send a list, just a general list to paratransit every term in regards to, Program 60 participants that may utilize it. These are door-to-door transportation. So if you do have difficulties or, limited accessibility, you can fill out this form and you can indicate, look at your eligibility for that service. And so you can utilize that too as well. There's a frequently asked questions section. And then lastly, there's also an online orientation tab, which we are recording this right now. This will be posted within the next couple of weeks. So that's kind of a nice thing. So if you had to leave or maybe you weren't able to fully, be as attentive as you liked, you can access these. These are from previous terms. So the nice thing about this is you can reference it. And if there's any difficulties or, issues that you might come our way, you can reference it and then you can reach out to us. But we will be uploading this one shortly, which is great. So you can access that at any point. Yeah, other than that, that's kind of the Program 60 website. Other than that, I'm willing to take any questions, but at the end of the day, I appreciate you guys staying. I know it's a little bit over. There was a lot of information that we covered today. I appreciate you guys taking this next step in, really getting processed and enrolled in Program 60. These are my email information, so you can email me at program60@osu.edu. And if there's any questions you may have, or if you want to schedule a Zoom call with me, I can definitely do that in regards to kind of showing you a little bit more in detail if there's a little bit more skills that you may need to have. Just know it is, the thick of enrollment, so we'll just need to make sure we schedule accordingly. But other than that, I am going to go through some of the questions that were there, but I appreciate each and every one of you for joining today. If you need to jump off, feel free to jump off. You can also reach out to me if there's any other questions, but thank you all. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and go Bucks.